Well, welcome everyone. I'm Carolyn Whiteman, and I get to, first of all, introduce you to the way and the reason that we have this call. And I don't know whether Rob Loomis is available that you can pull up, but if he is or is not, just to give you an idea, this is a monthly call that is done by our business organization, which is referred to as OPA. OPA stands for Organic Products Associates. And I'll tell you the story of how that came to be. I was originally sponsored by Rob's parents, and as the business grew, this was early in the 1970s, as the business grew, they had the vision to say this was going to grow beyond the place where people would know that it was the Loomis organization. So the OPA organization, I believe, now has 10 different master coordinators. And so they elected to call our family tree, our family heritage, OPA. So this is a consolidation and a group of 10 different masters with Rob Loomis as the second gen leader of this group. And what I can tell you is that when I was first sponsored, thinking that this is one of those little door-to-door businesses, and I went to Mary and Gary's home in the Beverly Hills, and their oldest son, Rob, who is here with us tonight, had just left for Harvard Law School. And I thought, well, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. And here we are decades later. So it's my pleasure once a month, the leaders within the OPA organization host a call, and this happened to be my time, and I have the good fortune of being able to reach out to Ozma. So I'm so honored that we have you, and we want to make sure we take advantage of this. This call will be recorded, and it is recorded, and it will be available. It will be on opastuff.org. So what I'd like to do as a courtesy to Ozma, because we want to hear her story, and she has come into the business fairly recently. And I would just like for her to have a chance to just have a face-to-face with some of our business leaders and know a little bit about them. So Scott, if you could pull up a couple of pictures.
If you want to start with Rob, he's on the call.
Okay, if
And
Rob's
as long as he says
Rob.
something, his picture will come up.
Yep, Rob.
Yeah, what do you want me to say?
I just want you to say hello and let us know who you are, and thank you for being the organizer of our having these all done. So anything you want to add?
No, I'm looking forward to hearing Ozma.
Okay, great. Well, if you bring up the two pictures, Scott, a couple of our leader groups are not with us, and we want you to have a sense of the community. This is one of our master coordinators. On the left is Joanne Nistico. Joanne was one of the first people that was sponsored in my group. We've grown up together. We've had our kids together. We've had our parents together. And on the right is Rochelle Parks. And Rochelle T. Parks is a senior key coordinator in qualification. And so neither one of them were able to be on the call, but we wanted them to be present. Bart and Ray, you're going to meet. You want to pull them up? And okay, Wanda and Mario Garcia, those are some of our business team. And just so you know, we have a nurse, we have a PhD attorney, that's some of our business leaders. And who else, Scott?
Let me see. Barbara and Ray are on the call with us. So if one of them says hi, their picture will pop up.
And then David Swain, if you'd say hi.
Hi.
Barb's there. Okay.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Ozma, looking forward to you tonight.
Great. David, are you here? David, Daisy, Fabio. There's Daisy Jimenez. Daisy is a classic, magnificent, wonderful leader here that's part of our bilingual Spanish group. one of the most effective, powerful leaders that you will know. So good to have you, Daisy, and your group. And then is Fabio here?
I'm here.
Fabio.
Hi.
Fabio Quintero and his family are all business leaders for many years, just so you have a sense. And then who else are we missing? Is David available?
Muted.
Well, if not, let's get started. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about why we're doing this. If you've heard me talk, I like to start like with it starts with why. And so we have a quick intro that Scott's going to pull up now.
Just so everybody knows, Roger does not usually talk this fast. We've just sped up the clip a little bit.
Hi, my name is Roger Barnett, and I'd like to talk to you about building a business in the health and wellness sector and why right now is the moment to do it. Health and wellness is a $6 trillion global industry, and it's projected to grow by 50% over the next 5 years. Everywhere you look, you see wellness or longevity. But here's what makes it truly unique. There is no dominant player. No one company has even close to a 10% market share. Compare that to e-commerce, where Amazon owns over 50% of the market. In wellness, the market is wide open, and that means it's open for someone to win. And we want Shaklee to become the platform for you to win in the wellness space. In North America, the dominant place where people buy their wellness products is in a big box retailer like Walmart or Target or CVS. And it's a terrible consumer experience. You walk into an aisle that's a sea of stuff. You don't know which product is the right one for you or what's in it. It's overwhelming and confusing, and this is ripe for disruption. I believe that the future of wellness centers around community, because wellness is a team sport. If you really want to change your health outcome, it is so much easier to do it with other people. Your community can share information, share products, and support and celebrate you on your wellness journey, all based on trust. And that's why our retention is so extraordinary. Nearly a quarter of our sales in North America come from people who've been customers for more than 30 years. When was the last time you were loyal to any brand for 30 plus years? And that's also why we are the only supplement company in the world that is short-term, medium-term, and long-term proof that taking our products produce better health outcomes, including up to 97% lower use of prescription medications. Our founder, Dr. Shaklee, invented the multivitamin in the United States over 110 years ago, and he pioneered the entire nutritional supplement industry. Now, we've spent the last 10 years modernizing every aspect of Shaklee as we build it into a leading global wellness company. And today, Shaklee is the fastest growing company of our size and tenure in our channel in North America. We've invested over $500 million in research and development and clinical studies, and this year we will spend even more. Our goal for the next 5 years is to grow by $1 billion in revenue, but more importantly, to grow our impact. Because it's not how long you live, it's how long you live well. And we have close to 2 million people that are currently part of our Shaklee family, and we hope to double that in the next 5 years so we can help millions more to look, feel, and live younger longer. And the thing I love most about Shaklee, the only way to succeed here is to help other people live better. The goal of our business model is to do good and do well at the same time. That's the opportunity, and we're looking for people who are ready to take it. Come join us and make a difference.
Shaklee makes no promises or guarantees regarding earning additional income or any other earning opportunity. The success or failure of each Shaklee ambassador, like any other business opportunity, depends on your own skills and personal effort. Shaklee ambassadors
Scott, you can turn that part off.
Of other Shaklee ambassadors.
Thank you. Okay, well, with that background, because I know some of you may be new, some of you have not had the chance to know much of that heritage that gives us a 70-year history comes from people like those of us on this call. So with that, it is my honor to introduce you, Asma, and to bring you up. Thank you very much for graciously giving us your time. And I'd like to just start out as we bring you up on the screen. I'd really like to just hear, I know you've known Roger from being involved in the profession and the world of health and wellness. And it's been what, just a year or so that you've actually been with Shaklee. And I'd really like to hear, for all of us, to hear that pathway and how that happened. Can you find Asma?
Hi, yes. Oh,
There you go.
Carolyn.
Okay, great.
Well, first of all, what an honor it is to be on your call tonight. Carolyn has done nothing but rave about all of you. She wanted to make sure that a personal history of knowledge about who you are, what you brought to the table, your history, who's been involved in this business. A 70-year anniversary this year is a testament to how amazing this company is. Okay. And by the way, I have my own personal history with Shackley as well. So 25 years ago, I was manufacturing products for Shackley. My background is actually in the manufacturing and supply side of the industry. So I was developing products, formulating, manufacturing everything from zero to from concept to finish on the shelf. And I remember being at your headquarters in Pleasanton at the time, 25 years ago, by the way, talking like just basically collaborating with some of your team way back when on some of the products that I've actually made in the past for you. And then eventually what happened is that, so I had, by the way, every time I mentioned Shackley, in the nutrition industry at least, right? What always happens is that everyone has a tremendous amount of respect for the company because it has always held itself to a higher standard, for clinical research, science, proof, the history with Dr. Shackley. So it was such a staple in my repertoire of the few companies that I had a lot of respect for. And eventually I started my own company. Besides manufacturing and doing all the supply end of things, developed a, ingredient company and all of that. And then at some point I heard enough from my clients to tell me that I had a story to tell and I think I should probably be the face of my brand, And so I started my company almost 20 years ago. It's been 18 years now, and back in 2008, and decided that I had something really unique, but no one could really truly understand the true science or understanding of this because it was an emerging market. So imagine Dr. Shackley way back when to come out with a multivitamin, right? And everyone's so skeptical saying, what? No, we can't get vitamins from a pill. We have to get it from our food or et cetera, et cetera. Same thing as what I dealt with back then, 25 years ago, of understanding what collagen was in the market, but had this like amazing discovery and actually branded, licensed, and patented and sold it to other brands. And then at some point, someone said, you know what, you have the right passion to emerge this market because the consumers are not totally understanding all of this yet. But we need a voice. And so that's when I decided to take this leap. I had been developing a lot of products for network marketing companies, as you might say in the past, MLM companies, as you might, direct selling companies, and all distribution channels, by the way. I've developed products and sold products and everything from Costco to GNC to Walmart to everything, prestige brands, Nordstrom and things like that, but also knew that there was a challenge in being able to get the consumer to buy something off the shelf that no one had really heard of that would actually work. And so that's when I took the leap of faith and decided, okay, we have a very special, unique version of this ingredient now in this liquid version. And if I'm going to go the direct selling route, all I need to do is make sure that people heard the story. And if they heard the story, they could actually go out and tell people this story from mouth to mouth to mouth to mouth. Very similar to the multivitamin story or to the first plant-based protein story or anything that all of you are accustomed to. And I have so much respect for you for what you have done all these years in the name of health and wellness. You are the pioneers of health and wellness. And it gives me no greater pleasure than to be able to be here in front of all of you. I only had the opportunity in health and wellness because my father was a bench chemist at a nutritional supplement manufacturing company back in the 70s. And he would come home every day with like products for us to sample when I was 5 years old, and sometimes he'd bring home a protein powder or this or that and be like, hey, what do you like? Because kids are the kids are so honest. They're like, your pets, right? They're never going to lie about how they feel. And so it was such a great experience for me. And I started developing this whole like imagination of bringing products to life based on like true honest feedback. And I saw what my father was doing, just an RD. He was not like a high level person. He worked his way up over time, but at that point he was a bench chemist. He was a chemist and pharmacist, and he developed a number of products that actually created real value for people, and eventually worked his way up. But I saw that example in him and decided to go out on my own to develop my own brand. And that's what I did in 2008. Evolved that company to a great, amazing trajectory. So all the things that I knew that, you know what, if only I could talk to people and help them to understand what the difference is between this or any other product, I could see this emerging category happening. And sure enough, things started happening. It was the first nutricosmetic brand. I was the first, inaugural speaker at the first World Collagen Conference. And so many amazing things happened. And along the way, I met a company who was kind of doing a similar kind of, work in understanding the business model. And that was equally as important to me, because when I came into this industry, into the direct selling industry, it didn't make a lot of sense for me. I didn't understand the comp plan and all the ins and loops and blah blah blah, all the things. I just wanted to. My vision was to modernize it. There was some value there, but there was a way to be able to modernize it for the next generations, in the space. And so developed a new kind of a comp plan and everything else. And I found another company who was matching my experience in that, a PE company. And they really wanted me to be a part of this. And I did. And that company was called Modere. At the time when I joined them, it was very, very struggling company. But we turned everything around. And when I became the global CEO after the acquisition of my company, converted it from, around a 200 million to almost a $700 million company at our peak in less than 8, 9 years. And it was an amazing experience. And most of the sales were based on the products I'm going to share with you today. So that's my honor, is to be able to share with you how a single product can actually elevate you to momentum, and to be able to show you the kind of effect that you can have. And I would love to share with you some like very boring slide decks, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So if you have any particular things, please make sure you put it in the chat. But I want to share with you the whole story behind Liquid BioCell. And Carolyn, I'll pause here in case you have something to insert here.
No,
But
I think this is great because in some ways, Asma, your story is like our story.
yeah,
Any one of us that we started, and it's like, who's going to believe us and that
yeah.
sort of thing. So thank you for sharing that. So yeah, continue.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and share the screen here. Whoever is sharing the slide deck, if you wouldn't mind doing that. And then, okay, great, Scott, thank you so much. Okay, so I will share with you, number one, on slide 3, you can skip to that one. You can know that something about collagen. Okay, so our liquid biocell product is based on this super molecule. Okay, I think it's the most important molecule you have in your body. Okay, and that's based on science. It is the building block, it's the structural building block of your entire connective tissue organ system. Blood vessels, tendons, ligaments, your bone framework, your connective tissue, your skin, your dermis, everything is made up of this amazing super molecule called collagen. Okay. And when we lose this, our skin becomes less firm, our hair and nails become weak, our joints start to feel stiff. Anyone who feels discomfort between their joints, whether it's in your knees, hips, anywhere, toes, fingers, it's because that cartilage degrades over time. That cartilage is comprised of collagen. And when that degrades over time, that bone on bone contact is what causes the discomfort that you might be able to feel. And that's what makes us not being able to move or get up and down. And what's amazing is that children have an abundance of this component, right? So they're flexible. They can move around. They can do cartwheels. They can jump around and they can, oh my God, I have an 8-year-old niece who I love to pieces. And we go to these trampoline places. We go roller skating and she can like flip flop on all these things. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know I'm broken by the next day. But it's because she has an abundance of collagen. She has an abundance of hyaluronic acid, the sister molecule to collagen, which holds the moisture in between our skin cells. And you'll see on the next slide what is the really important aspect of our structural framework. So, Scott, if you can move to the next slide, I'll show you. Um, as we decline, all of this kind of declines in our body. So what happens is that there's a few different things. And by the way, I think women, we need more healthcare and support in healthcare system than anyone because we tend to have the brunt of it all, especially when it comes to collagen research or medical research. And one of the reasons is that so collagen declines as we age. Okay, it only grows because it is our strength of our body. So as we grow our body, when we're 5 to 20 years old, we have to build more tissue, so it increases over time, but then decreases after that. So after you have to stop growing, our bones or our tissues or anything like that, it starts to decline. HA also just HA is a sister molecule called hyaluronic acid. It's the moisture binding molecule to collagen. And it's in charge of all the suppleness that we have in our skin, our joints, our hydration, and everything else. What's interesting is that even though this starts to decline, what happens is that, for example, during menopause, we lose like 30% of our collagen during menopause. And so this is so important for everyone as they're aging. And the earlier you start, the better it is because you're actually building that structural framework over time to be stronger when it starts to decline for other hormonal reasons. And so it is amazing how important this molecule is. And until we came on board, no one could believe in the medical framework or the scientific substance of collagen supplements. And that's because in the past, these are, and you can go to the next slide, Scott. These are macromolecules. So what that means is that, and all of you know this as well, the kind of protein you take is important. It matters. Not every protein is alike. Not every protein supplement is alike. Same thing with collagen. Collagen is a macromolecule. It weighs in the millions of daltons. And then and so one of our patented processes that we developed over these years is to move it down to a molecule size. It creates peptides that are absorbed very naturally and efficiently in our body. So here's the thing. Here's the kind of like, people use this word biohack. I think it's a little overused and kind of weird right now, but I do think that one thing that you do need to know is what the whole biohacking kind of concept comes from is how do you take control of your biology? How do you add to what's already happening and what's already available? Where do you get the edge? Where is the edge on what you can do for your body to make sure that you're healthy for the long term? We don't care about living until we're 200 years old, right? We just care about living until our natural life so that we can continue to move around and have a healthy life. We can continue to play with our grandkids, that we don't have to be dependent on anyone. We don't have to be in wheelchairs and things like that. And so you can take control of this now, and that starts now, no matter what age you are. And that is extremely important for everyone to know. So we can move to the next slide. What I will show you is that what we have built with the previous Modera line, which we have acquired now at Shackley, and I'm so proud to be here with the products that I developed. But I'm super excited about the fact that the sales of these products have proven everything. At Modera, for example, we had 90% consumer sales versus 10% of distributors who were buying the product. Our revenue came from mostly consumer sales. And I have not been in a room at a conference where I'm speaking or doing something where someone in the audience has said, oh my gosh, I use the liquid biocell. And these are not people who are participating in MLMs. They're not like old school Herbalife distributors or this or that or anything like that. These are just people every day who are using it, who have been using it. I go to conferences sometimes who I have seen people who have been on this product for 15 years on auto ship without any interjection of a compensation for it. No plan model being involved in it at all. And so my mission at Modera was to create a hybrid model which really showed the world that you can have something that creates real consumer value without any financial incentive to create a product that the proof in the pudding would be, does it create real consumer value? Because without the comp plan, would they still be purchasing it? Right? That's the true test about anyone in our space to actually prove, does this product actually provide real consumer value? Because if you don't have a comp plan attached to it, would it still sell at the same price at the same amount of quantity? Here's the great news. We have sold over a couple of $billion in just the time that I launched the product. In the past 6-7 years, in the liquid biocell line and the trim line and things like that. So has been a huge, tremendous success. And I take a lot of great pride in it. And the great thing is that the same active ingredient that you're talking about here with the liquid biocell product line actually works for other species too. But the only species it works for, the only 3 species that exist that have the same human cartilage as humans do are dogs, cats, and horses. So we actually have the same product for equine, meaning like for horses. We have the same product for dogs and cats. And the only reason we came out with that is because we had to, because people were starting to give the human product as it worked so well for them that they had to give it to their dogs and cats. And I'm a dog lover, by the way. Oh, my, like, you know how, and I have a child too, but like, I will tell you, like, our 4-legged friends are very different than our 2-legged ones. And so I just like, I understand how important our pets are and how important we want to make sure, how important it is that we want to make sure that we prolong their lives. So we can go to the next slide here now too. Let me just tell you this, how to understand liquid biocell. So there may be some confusion. Liquid biocell is the name of the ingredient, but it's also the name of the product. So sometimes we interchange the two. Liquid biocell is actually that ingredient that is a naturally occurring matrix of collagen, chondroitin sulfate, and hyaluronic acid. It's not a blend, okay? We don't take hyaluronic acid from one source. We don't take HA and chondroitin sulfate from another source. In nature, where we derive this ingredient from, it actually is a naturally occurring matrix. And if you were to take a sliver, so let's just take, this is a knee joint, for example. If we took your knee cartilage and put it under a microscope, you would see it would be about 60% collagen, 20% chondroitin sulfate, about 10% hyaluronic acid. It happens to be that our natural ingredient from the single source is the same composition of all of these 3 components in the same ratios. It's the only place in nature, to my knowledge or anyone else's knowledge, that actually exists in the same ratio as our own human articular cartilage. And why that's important is because the body recognizes certain things that you take in. So when you take this in, I think that the real mechanism of action here, although no one really knows, also no one really knows the mechanism of action for Tylenol, by the way. Most of the medications that are out in the market that have been the most successful, no one truly knows the actual mechanism of action in the human body. However, through experience, I think that the reason why our body takes so well to this product is because it's actually recognizing it in the human ratios that we have in our own human articular cartilage. And it's the only place in nature that exists that can provide these things. So if you go to the next slide, I want to show you some other things about this too. So I talked about how we take the molecule. Oh, by the way, these are big, huge molecules. So we had to discover a way how to get it to a size that was going to actually be absorbed, be bioavailable. We had to make sure that we were able to do so. If we go to the next slide, you'll see also we had to ask ourselves, especially after I came on board, what would be the way to take something so amazingly like scientific to the next level. So for example, we have always been able to prove how important this ingredient was to elevate hyaluronic acid levels in your body by 6,000%. Why that's important is because HA is the moisture binding molecule in your body, in all of your cells, not just your skin, but in your joint, cartilage, all of those things. And so can you imagine that, by the way, like elevating your HA levels by 6,000% in a 28-day period? So once you start taking the product, one thing you'll notice is that, and by the way, I had lunch with a major influencer who has millions of followers online just last week on Friday. Um, and and she was talking about how important BioCell was to her because it was the only product that she was able to sell that actually created these kinds of benefits. She could actually see a difference by taking it regularly. And so did her whole consumer base. So there was no way that she could ever be separated from BioCell with what she did as an influencer to earn income. And so it has been amazing, life-changing, not just for people's health, but also from an income perspective, because people understand that if you have a product that really works, you can actually develop a real business out of it, right? And you know all of this. I'm preaching to the choir. You've seen this in live action in the past. Dryness and scaling, for example, was depleted to almost nothing after taking the product for 12 weeks without using any topical moisturizers. So imagine human subjects being told, hey, come on in. We're going to give you this product. But one thing we ask you is you don't use any moisturizers or lotions for the next 12 weeks. How many of us would actually like agree to that, right? We'd be like, oh my God, no way. And I mean, I use oils on my skin and things like that. And like, who would come in there and be like, okay, all right, fine. There are clinical patients and they were told to do that. And their dryness and scaling went down to almost zero over a 12-week period without any use of any topical moisturizers during that period of time. So does that mean you have to stop using moisturizers? No, it just means it's proof, which is that this shows you how important HA is to your body's own ability to hold on to moisture in your skin. So this has been remarkable too. And if we go on to the next slide, I'll show you some other examples as well. Hyaluronidase is the enzyme that constantly breaks down HA in your body. In a study, we saw that the more BioCell you took, the more inhibition of hyaluronidase it created, which is great because it actually prevents the breakdown of HA in your body, but also increases HA in your body too. So it's got a dual, multiple compound effect. The other thing is, and we've done multiple human clinical trials on, subjects who had joint comfort issues, joint discomfort. In one study, 40% improvement from day 0 to week 8 on joint discomfort. In fact, we've measured it on all measures of the WOMAC scale. The WOMAC scale is the measurement that it's the Western Ontario, it's a Canadian measurement that doctors use all across basically North America and mostly the world on how to measure sort of, discomfort associated with like arthritis, for example. And all levels of that showed significant improvement on quality of life, activity level, improvement in every aspect. So it has been, so if any of you have any joint discomfort, if you have some stiffness and things like that, you have, by the way, I went roller skating for 5 hours with my 8-year-old niece, and the next day I was like, I'll never do that again. But I will tell you, thank goodness I did take Biosol for all these years, because it was the reason I kept going for 5 hours. And I am of that age now where I cannot do those things, but thank goodness I had strong tissue. I had strong connective tissue that even if I fell down, like, I was up and running again, right? That's what youth does to you. Youth gives you an abundance of collagen and HA, which helps you to get up, bounce back, be flexible. So we'll go to the next slide here, and I want to kind of transition into what we're doing with the new Life Plus product. And by the way, we are keeping the Liquid Biosol Pure. We're keeping Liquid Biosol Life. We're keeping, and we just launched the new Liquid Biosol Life Plus. And we were asking ourselves, like, how do we take something so amazing but make it even better? And so we thought about this, and we thought, you know what, like, let's talk about the whole collagen framework. If we could, like, reinvent this and be able to help from 3 different aspects: protect, stimulate, and build. We thought of some other ingredients that could go into this to complement the active ingredient, Liquid Biosol, which is already doing all of the foundational work. But we added pine bark extract, for example, a powerful oxidative stress combatant, which actually helps because oxidative stress actually continues to break down collagen in our body. We added fucoidan, which is actually, it comes from seaweed. And that is a powerful anti-inflammatory signaling ingredient that actually helps to help with anything that is countering that by accelerating breakdown of collagen, for example. We also have ingredients in here that will help with, for example, continue to like support collagen production, other cofactors as well. Biotin, for example, helps with keratin. And we have just the right amount of biotin in here too, not an excessive amount or anything like that, but it actually helps with, like, our hair, for example, and nails are built with keratin, which is biotin is supportive of. Zinc is another continued cofactor in collagen production. We also have another ingredient called calcium fructoborate, which is basically boron, right? So it's another vitamin that actually is really important in bone strength and density. It actually helps us to build our strength in our bones, right? So now we have an added benefit with this new Life Plus, which is to help bone density. Most important thing you can do as you age is to help your bone density. How do you help bone density, by the way? A few different ways. One thing I learned very early in my fitness days was weight-bearing exercises. So, for example, walking is better than bike riding, right? Because when you put on that weight on your bones, you actually strengthen that bone density. So you prevent things like osteoarthritis later on in life. You help to strengthen your body composition as well. So if you had 20 minutes, and by the way, I learned this very early from, someone I really respected, but if I had 20 minutes to exercise, what was the best thing for me to do? A weight-bearing exercise was the best way. So walking is better than like riding a bike, a stationary bike or something like that, because you're putting weight on your bones, which helps to strengthen them. So that's really important. Here's the other thing is that when you take something like calcium fructoborate, that's actually helping with bone strength and density as well, because that ingredient boron actually helps to synthesize vitamin D. Vitamin D is very important in your bone marrow, bone density as well. So this is the new triplex technology that we've enhanced Liquid BioCell with, and now we have an amazing product, as well as the other ones that we have in the Liquid BioCell line to be able to bring to all of you. So let me stop here, and I'm going to hand it back to Carolyn in case she has any particular questions, but super happy to be here with all of you to be able to launch this exciting new phase of Liquid BioCell products. I couldn't be more proud to be partnered with all of you.
Well, this is, Ozma, this is like stunningly impressive. And those of us who really have been part of the core part of Shaklee back in the beginning, this all makes sense to us. And what I will say in honoring us as field people, particularly I think those of us who are attracted here, we are allowed to be a little bit geeky like that. We want to hear just enough of the science. Not that, at least speaking for myself, I don't need to know it and understand it. I want to know that you know it and that you understand it and that we have someone that knows what they're talking about so that we can validate that. And so this is really very, very impressive. Now, what I'd like to do is, we want to talk about, I know there are a number of questions. Just a couple of quick ones. Is there anything about the taste that people, do you suggest that people start with a 90-day program? And is there anything with some people who, can't take it at the beginning or any digestion issues? And I only say that because some of us have heard that and it's okay.
Absolutely. So here's the great news about the product. And one of the keys to its success from the very start was that you had to take such little of it a day. So a lot of collagen products out there have to give you 10, 20 grams out there, and it's because it works with a totally different mechanism of action. This should not be compared to other collagen products. But what was simplistic about this is that you took 2 tablespoons a day. That was it. And it tastes so good. It has kind of like a little hint of pomegranate. If you've ever seen that meme with that little girl, a little hint of this, a little hint of, it's like, it's got a little hint of cranberry, a little hint of, I think it tastes like cranberry a little, pomegranate a little bit, acai maybe, blueberry extracts, but it's super, but also you're only taking 1 tablespoon. So it tastes so good that you're going to want to take a lot more, but you really don't need to, right? So there's been never any issues. I've never had anyone come back and say, I just can't handle the taste of it or anything like that.
Why don't we do this? Barb, you've got some of the questions. Why don't you and Ozma and I kind of collaborate on questions now that may have come up? Because I know there are questions about, is there any interaction with people that have blood pressure issues? Would this I don't mean issues, but might this contribute in a positive way to people who've had blood pressure issues? I believe that's one of the questions. Barb, are you close by?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Do you want to start with the blood pressure question?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Ozma? Why does it lower elevated blood pressure?
It doesn't, we don't make that claim on the product of lowering elevated blood pressure. Is that something you saw somewhere?
Yes, it's one of the questions that came in.
Okay. I don't know that that we make that claim as an approved claim or anything like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. There's another question about how does BioCell increase healing after injury or surgery?
Okay, well, here's the thing is that I can't answer any medical questions because the product is a nutritional supplement. So I will avoid answering any medical questions.
Okay.
One thing I will say is that Outside of any healing or surgical issues, uh, one thing to know that's really important is that um, elevated or like healthy levels of HA and collagen in your body are really important for skin to repair. There's three different phases of skin repair, for example. And the more HA and collagen that you have in your body, the better aligned all those collagen fabrics will, like fibers, will actually be able to form when the skin is repairing. Perfect example of that is like young kids. They get a scrape, they're healed so quickly. We get a scrape. It's like, oh my gosh, when is this going to heal? And is it ever going to heal? And all that kind of stuff. And that's because we have less HA and collagen in our body, but young children have an abundance of this. So they pick up so quickly and they can get an injury and they heal so fast. And that's because elevated levels of collagen and HA help the skin to repair faster.
Okay. Well, and that takes me back to, you mentioned, two tablespoons a day, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if a greater amount of liquid collagen in your body and the HA is helping you repair faster, would it be advisable, if you want to use more than 2 tablespoons a day?
You can, and many people do. And what happens is one of the slides I had thrown up was this dose dependent study that showed that the more of the active ingredient that you took, meaning liquid biocell, the pure ingredient, that more inhibition of hyaluronidase happened. So it seems like there's a positive response to it with the active ingredient only, not on the finished product, for example, but on the active ingredient. It was also tested in toxicology studies at 33 times its dosage for 90 days straight without any adverse effects to any organs or anything like that.
Just
And
say that
so,
one again. Say that one again. That's really valuable.
yeah, the toxicology study on the active ingredient showed that it was completely safe without any adverse effects on any organs at 33 times its dosage for 90 days straight. So, and that was just because that was like the maximum you could put into the study. It could have been done for more or not or whatever, but that was the toxicology study protocol. And so it was a very safe ingredient. It didn't create any adverse effects or anything like that. And by the way, anecdotally, we have now 20 years of research behind us with people who have been taking it for all this time and have not reported any adverse effects from taking the product. So it's very safe.
Okay, great. A question, when are we going to have travel-sized BioCell available, and in what format will it be available?
Oh, I know. I can't wait, you guys, because this whole transition has been so hard for me. I will tell you, because I can one day when we all get together at the convention or something, we'll have stories to share. And I'm sure you have so many stories to share with me, having gone through your history with Shackley for all these years, and as we all do. But one of the things in the transition was just, SKU rationalizations, even before I came over. But we are going to have a travel-friendly version, and so that we're looking at liquid packets, by the way, and then another format too, kind of like a gummy chew kind of a format. So we're working on it. We don't have any exact timelines for delivery, but we're trying to get them out as soon as possible, I promise.
Okay. Someone asks, I have a friend who is allergic to sulfur. Would the chondroitin sulfate be a problem for her?
So I looked into this. It is actually a very different component than what she's talking about when it comes to chondroitin sulfur. It's a sulfate, which works in a very different possible way. So I haven't seen people who have had that, but nonetheless, if they have any issues or concerns, they should check with their physician before taking the product.
Okay. Someone was surprised the reformulation, so the Life Plus, still has a preservative. Is there a reason it has to have a preservative?
Yeah, it's a natural product, so it needs to be in the refrigerator. So we use like the least amount of preservative in the product that we possibly can. It goes through, it doesn't go through like full pasteurization because we want to preserve the integrity of like the antioxidants and things like that. So that was weighed very carefully way back in the beginning. People preferred a non-pasteurized product, and the only exchange for that is having a safe preservative, not a bad preservative. And not at the extent that you can't have a preservative. But there's obviously options in the future if we need to like make any changes or anything like that. But I feel very confident in the amount that we use. And I think preservatives are actually really, by the way, you probably consume way more preservatives in your daily diet with all the other foods you eat than what's in 2 tablespoons of liquid biocell.
Okay. What would be a reason for someone to take the beauty product instead of the BioCell Life Plus?
So we came out with the beauty product just because it was like marketable in a different way. So we had a ton of dermatologists and plastic surgeons who were selling this in their offices, but they had a really hard time explaining what life meant on a bottle, right? So we said, okay, well, let's just call it beauty, but it was the same active ingredient, same amount, same potency. And it kind of worked. And they were like, okay, great. And then we added a few extra ingredients in there that were beauty oriented. And so all of it, whether you're taking beauty or whether you're taking life or life plus or pure, they're going to work effectively just as equivalently across both skin and joint benefits, whether you like it or not. So if you're taking it for joints, achy joints, you're going to have fewer wrinkles. Sorry. And if you're taking it for vanity purposes, you're actually going to have better, stronger joints. So that's the one like amazing thing to remember. And if it's more marketable for them because they happen to be in a certain profession, they can use one that's called one or the other.
Okay. Someone has a customer who started BioCell and seemed to have a flare-up of sarcoidosis. I'm not sure how to address this.
Well, first of all, if I'm not sure what that is, and I'm not a doctor, I can't answer any like physician type of questions. However, I would say that if they have an overproduction of collagen, they shouldn't be taking this product. This is a collagen helpful product, like it's helpful to produce collagen. So if there is a disease, which very few people are affected by, it's a very, very, very minute population. But if they have an overproduction of collagen, that's their issue. They probably shouldn't be taking a product that helps support collagen production.
Okay.
Good answer.
Can it be mixed with another liquid if someone has an aversion to the taste?
Absolutely. I don't know anyone who's had an aversion to the taste, by the way. Like so far, if in case you think that anyone has, please let me know. But it's actually a really pleasant tasting product. But you can mix it with anything if you want to. You can mix it with chocolate if you want to. You can mix it with no problem. And it's again a really small amount that you take. So it's not like you're taking a big glass of this or a big cup of this or anything like that. It's 1 tablespoon twice a day, and that's it.
Okay. This person
Hey,
says,
Barb.
oh, I'm
Hi,
sorry.
Barb.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. This is Scott. We've reached
Mhm.
the end of our hour. Are you close to the end of your list of questions?
Yeah, well, there's a number of them yet, but some of them are repetitive.
Okay, well, pick one.
Yeah. And
Oh my gosh.
and I do have
Let's
another Zoom beginning like in 1 minute. But
Okay,
so I may
one
have
more question. I found one.
Okay.
If someone's knees are bone on bone with, doctor says no cartilage, is it possible that the liquid biocell might help that situation?
So that would be called osteoarthritis to an extreme, and that's a disease. So remember, our product is not here to treat or prevent any kind of disease. So they would just have to check with their doctor. What I can tell you is that this product helps to stimulate the building blocks of your cartilage in your joints and everything else. So so it can be nothing but helpful, but they should check with their physician.
Okay, thanks so much. This is really helpful.
Oh, thank you,
Asma,
Barb.
this has been stunningly magnificent.
Oh,
I hope that we have contributed to you in a way to know something about the core, some of the core Shaklee people, who we are and how valuable this has been for us. And we graciously welcome you and are honored that you have chosen to spend this time with us tonight. So we're very grateful.
I am even more grateful. And if you combine all of your gratitude and put it in me, I will reflect it back a million times. I cannot wait to meet all of you at conference. So wait till that happens. I want to give each and every one of you a big, huge hug. And thank you so much for your amazing hospitality, welcome, and love and embrace. And thank you for your interest in learning about all of this. I appreciate you so much, and I commend you for all of your success thus far. And I'm here for a reason. And I can't wait to build this to its next level for your legacy as well.
Thank you, Asma. Magnificent. We're very honored. And thank you from all of us for your huge contribution.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Thanks, Scott.
Go Knicks. And sorry, no offense to Spurs, but
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry I kept you away from the game. But
thank you so much.
Love you
And
guys.
this call will be has been recorded. It will be posted on opastuff.org. Get back with the person who invited you. It'll be a couple of days before we get all that together. And then next week we get to talk to Jennifer Piper, who is the field side, and can talk about taking this wonderful grounding of the product that you've given to us and talk some about the field side of things that we can do with it. So
you'll love Jen.
So much.
She's amazing.
Asma, you see all the love and hearts. Thank you so very much.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
From all of us. Thanks.